pull on it. See? There's
Okay, we'll wait
Kolten.
another minute and see if anybody else.
Okay.
That's 1 second. Okay, then she'll be in turns tomorrow. See what's your next one. Thank you for coming to our play called The Mitten by Jan Fred. Once, there was a boy named Nicky who wanted his snow white mittens made from wool as white as snow. At first, his grandmother did not want to make snow white mittens. If you drop one in the snow, you'll never find it. But Nicky wanted snow white mittens, and finally, grandmother made them. Now, after she finished, come here, Grandma. After she finished, she said, when you come home, first I will look to see if you are safe and sound, but then I will look to see if you still have your snow white mittens. So off Nicky went, and it wasn't long until one of his new mittens dropped in the snow and was left behind. Now a mole, tired from tunneling along, discovered the mitten and burrowed inside. It was cozy and warm and just the right size, so she decided to stay. A snowshoe rabbit came hopping by. He stopped for a moment to admire his winter coat. It was then that he saw the mitten, and he wiggled in, feet first. The mole didn't think there was room for both of them, but when he saw the rabbit's big kickers, he moved over. Next, a hedgehog came snuffling along. Having spent the day looking under wet leaves for things to eat, he decided to move into the mitten and warm himself. The mole and the rabbit were bumped and jostled, but not being ones to argue with someone covered with prickles, they made room. As soon as the hedgehog disappeared into the mitten, a big owl, attracted by the commotion, swooped down. When he decided to move in also, the mole, the rabbit, and the hedgehog all grumbled. But when they saw the owl's glinty talons, they quickly let him in. Now up through the snow appeared a badger. He eyed the mitten and began to climb into the mitten. The mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, and the owl were not pleased. There was no room left. But when they saw his diggers, they gave him the thumb. Now it started snowing, but the animals were snug inside the mitten. A raft of warm steam rose in the air, and a fox trotted by to investigate. Just the sight of the cozy mitten made him feel drowsy. The fox poked his muzzle in, and when the mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, and the owl, and the badger saw his shiny teeth, they gave the fox lots of room. Now a great bear lumbered by. She spied the mitten all plumped up. Not being one to be left out in the cold, she began to nose her way into the mitten. The animals were packed in as tightly as could be. But what animal would argue with a bear? Now the mitten swelled and stretched. It was pulled and bulged too many times its size. But grandmother's good knitting held fast. And soon along came a meadow mouse, no bigger than an acorn. She wiggled into the one spot left and made herself comfortable on top of the great bear's nose. Now the bear, tickled by the mouse's whiskers, gave an enormous sneeze. The force of the sneeze shot the mitten up into the sky and scattered the animals in all directions. On his way home, Nicky saw a white shape in the distance. It was the lost mitten silhouetted against the blue sky. Now, as he ran to catch the snow-white mitten, he saw Grandmother's face in the window. First, she looked to see if he was safe and sound, and then she saw that he still had his new white mittens. The end. Just a minute and I'll introduce you, okay? Okay. Grandmother was played by Amber Coleman. Nicky was played by Logan Kennard. The mole was played by Kayla Kiefer. The snowshoe rabbit was played by Court Rogers. The hedgehog was played by Kolten Turner. The owl was played by Nathan McGuire. The badger was played by Zach Selby. The fox was played by Nate Kell. The bear was played by Ashley Coleman. And the mouse who started it all was played by Taylor Long.
Yes.
What do you guys tell them for coming?
Thank you.
And the rest of room 3 is over here. They're going to be performing tomorrow. Okay.